Welcome back to Shadow to Soul. I'm Deshni, a regression therapist and a soul guide. In this podcast, I share real experiences of healing, how the patterns we carry shape our emotional lives and our physical lives, and what happens when we begin to understand them. At this stage in my journey, regression therapy had already become an important part of my life. I had experienced profound shifts through the sessions I had already done. Emotionally, mentally, and spiritually, things were changing. And yet, when it came to my physical health, my instinct was still to approach things through medicine first. That part of me, the part that's grounded in science, still remained present. So when physical symptoms can't be managed, I approach them the way I always did, to go see a medical professional. For about 9 months, I lived with pain in my Achilles tendon. It started subtly, then it became a little more intense and constant. It was sharp, localized, and at one point it became so tender that even the slight touch would be excruciating. As I usually do, I went down the medical route first. I went to see my GP and he referred me for an ultrasound. He suspected Achilles tendinitis. When the results came back negative, there was no further treatment other than just pain management. I adjusted how I walked. I avoided certain movements. I couldn't go to the gym. I would brace myself every morning when I would put my feet down on the floor. And despite everything that I had experienced with regression therapy up until that point, I still didn't turn to it. And one day something changed. I woke up feeling completely depleted. My body felt heavy, completely exhausted, and I was severely dehydrated. No matter how much water I drank, I still felt parched, and the pain in my Achilles had reached a point where walking was just difficult. Painkillers had no effect. I rested, hoping it would pass. The following day, it deepened. At this point, my husband insisted that I go for a regression session. I had reached the end of what medicine could offer me in this situation. During the session, as soon as I closed my eyes, I could see an older man. I felt that was me, but it was a past life. I was wearing a light-colored robe, and my body was severely injured. My leg around the Achilles tendon was severely damaged. I could feel the pain intensely. I was walking along, but slowly, dragging my feet. Every step forward required immense effort. My body was exhausted, and there was severe dehydration. I had sensed that I'd been through something physically severe. As I grounded into that scene, the awareness began to deepen. The awareness within my body began to deepen as well. I could feel the injuries in my body more precisely. There had been a physical assault. There was force, impact, damage to the whole body. My body had registered it, but the experience hadn't fully completed. So I was guided back into that moment to process that experience completely so that my body could let go of that physical pain. Because without complete physical awareness of it, that pain would stay trapped in my body. As I allowed that awareness to continue and to deepen within my body, the pain intensified. It became sharper, more defined. And then, as the experience completed in my awareness, the charge started to release. The piercing pain in my Achilles finally started to ease. Once the physical charge released, the rest of that life became clearer. In that life, he was a healer. He worked through presence, through intuition, through a deep sensitivity and awareness to what others carried. People came to him for support, for healing, and many experienced change through him. But that kind of work was not understood by everyone. There were people who felt threatened by what he was doing. They felt threatened by the way people were drawn to him, by the quiet influence he carried. And ultimately that fear turned into action. The violence that led to that injury came through this fear. It was an attempt to stop him. What stayed with me from that life wasn't the violence. It was how he lived. No matter how difficult the situation became, no matter who caused him pain, there was no resistance to life. There was no questioning. There was absolutely no sense of why me. And there was no fear when he faced hostility, aggression, or violence. There was only a deep, steady love and acceptance of what was. And there was this underlying awareness that everything had a place, that everything served a purpose. To experience that, not as an idea, but a felt state, changed something in me. Because although I understood the concept of everything has its place, everything has a reason, live in complete acceptance and surrender of what is, I didn't know what it felt like to be that way until this moment. It allowed me to feel what it was like to live in complete acceptance. Even now, when life feels heavy, when things don't go the way I would have hoped they would, eventually I come back to this feeling, to this understanding. And it allows me to feel peace that I don't think I would have been able to feel otherwise. Of all the sessions that I've had, and to this date, I've probably had more than 50 sessions. This session gave me the greatest gift of all. To truly know and feel viscerally what it means to live in true love and acceptance of what life is, and to live in complete faith of the greater powers of the universe. After that session, I noticed a few changes. My intuitive perception became stronger. It became clearer, more structured. And I found when something came through, I trusted it implicitly. There was no questioning. I understood that what I was accessing had depth in it, that it wasn't something I was learning, but rather something I was reconnecting with. Immediately after that session, the dehydration lifted. The pain in my Achilles tendon was gone. And I was able to walk without limping, without wincing, without pain again. The chronic pain that I'd lived with for 9 months had gone. A year later, an opportunity came along where I was able to enroll in the 5-part clinical hypnotherapy and regression training with Eka. Over the next 2 years, I completed my training. When I passed the final assessment and qualified, it coincided almost exactly with the end of my lease for my optical practice. I remember sitting with that decision. The practice represented years of study and commitment towards optometry. It represented what my parents had gifted me, the opportunity to study, the opportunity to start this practice. I was so very grateful for it, so grateful for all those years of being an optometrist. But something had always felt amiss. I was good as an optometrist, but I wasn't truly satisfied. At this junction, my direction felt very clear. I chose to take a leap of faith, and I closed the practice and sold it. I chose to step fully into this work. That life showed me where my innate abilities stemmed from. This life became the expression of it. The body holds memory. Awareness brings resolution. And when you finally recognize who you are, the path forward, your direction, becomes crystal clear. In the next episode, I'll share a session that had a direct and tangible impact on my son. If this episode resonated, continue on this journey with me. Subscribe so you don't miss what comes next. If this podcast has supported you, please take a moment to rate it. It allows others to find it as well. Thank you for being here with me. Until next time, from shadow to soul.